Prabir Purkayastha, 6 months of his life he spent behind bars. Now the court says there is absolutely no evidence of anything and quashed the case. Whether the court pronounced him guilty or not guilty, Prabir faced his punishment. So everything is back to normal as far as law is concerned. But as far as the human being, as far as the channel, this was a very emotional topic for us. You know why? Because in this raid list, we also exist. We were also raided. If every channel that questions the government, if they are raided and then after 6 years, after they're completely obliterated, told that kuch nahi, okay, nothing happened, there's no evidence, theek hai, now we go. Who loses? Who loses? You lose. Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. You know, this today's topic is slightly emotional for all of us at HW News Network. People who are working with us now, people who were working with us, our colleagues, former colleagues. Slightly emotional, and you know, actually a lot of my former colleagues had called me last night to discuss this. But let's talk about that. Chalo, we'll talk about all of that emotion and all that later on. Let's get to the topic at hand and let's talk about the topic at hand. The Delhi High Court has quashed the cases against Newsclick. Quashed. In fact, Justice Neena Bansal Krishna went on to say that not a whisper of incriminating evidence against Newsclick. She said that the investigators failed to establish cheating, criminal breach of trust, conspiracy, or any scheduled offences. He said the investigators failed to establish any offence. So what was Prabir Purkayastha arrested for? Prabir Purkayastha and his HR head, what were they arrested for? Prabir Purkayastha was raided February 2021. Prabir Purkayastha was arrested October 2023. He was in jail for 6 months. And the judge says now that, listen, you know what nonsense? Says there is the investigating body, investigating agency couldn't establish one single offense against this company. Why did you put him behind bars? I will read a few more statements that the court made and then we will get into our story. The court went on to say that the facts revealed a pattern of evasiveness and opacity being adopted by the investigative agencies. This is the court saying, huh? It is not Prabir talking about it or media saying. The court saying that the fact reveals a pattern of evasiveness and opacity being adopted by the investigating agencies in their approach during the investigation against the petitioner. The court further went on to say that the FIR was totally vague, baseless, and contains frivolous allegations, and that even if the allegations were accepted at the face value, they do not disclose any cognizable offense. The court is saying this. I will read further. The court went on to say that the response of ED itself reflected that even if the entire allegation against the petitioners are admitted, no offense is disclosed in the FIR. Pertinently, extensive investigations have been carried out by the ED for about a year and a half, and the petitioner as well as its employees have been summoned, examined many a times, but nothing incriminating till date has been found or placed on record. Aside from bald assertions of these being a criminal conspiracy, there is not a whisper of any incriminating allegations, which could even remotely suggest that the commission of the offences punishable under Section 4 PMLA. This is what Justice Neena Bansal Krishna had to say. Now, let's understand this from a very simple perspective. A channel which was not a typical, propaganda channel of the government, the channel had questioned the government throughout their existence. This channel was raided by the Enforcement Directorate. This channel was further raided by Delhi police. The editor arrested, Prabir Purkayastha, arrested behind bars for 6 months under UAPA, mind you, under UAPA. There too, the court said that there is no evidence of putting this man under UAPA. And he was given bail. 6 months of his life he spent behind bars. Now the court says there is absolutely no evidence of anything and quashed the case. No case against him. Think about it. You have a channel that is not so favorable to the government, not working on the tunes in which government wants it to work on. One fine day, they are raided. The moment they are raided, half their resources goes kaput. Then there is another arrest made by the Delhi police saying that they have some foreign connections, they have some Chinese connection and so on and so forth. The editor is put behind bars. Their people are investigated. I remember one incident where one of their reporters in Kerala was, there was a team sent to Kerala to interrogate that reporter, so on and so forth. Their people were interrogated. Journalists, junior journalists were interrogated. Most of them now are without job. They were interrogated. And end of the day, the company is shut. Newsclick is shut, by the way. Newsclick has shut shop, shut her down. A vibrant news channel that asked questions to the government, shut her down. Shut her down. Now the court says, nay, nothing happened. Actually, there is not a shred of evidence against them. Not a shred of evidence. Like I said, it is not the media. It is not anybody else. It is the court, the High Court, Honorable High Court of Delhi is saying this. An honorable judge has pronounced that judgment. Of course, ED, I'm told, is going to Supreme Court to challenge that judgment. That said, let's go by what happened yesterday. What does this mean? End of the day, whether the court pronounced him guilty or not guilty, Prabir faced his punishment. His organization is shut. He had to shut his shop. The people who worked with him believed in him. They lost their jobs. Most of them still are searching for one because they have not got a job. Now, a Newsclick will never be able to question the government. Now, a Newsclick doesn't have the money, resources to question the government. And of course, after 23 he was arrested, 26, the court said, no, you guys, there's no shred of evidence. So everything is back to normal as far as law is concerned. But as far as the human being, as far as the channel, as far as those young minds, those young journalists who are working with them, careers lost. A channel which asked questions, shut. Prabir went through hell. And if you go by what the judge says, and I will go by what judge says, because in my country and my constitution tells me to go by what my judiciary says that, listen, you know what? There's not a shred of evidence. He shouldn't have been behind bars in the first place. What do you take of all this? In the last 8 years, the action against media, this is news laundry data, the action against media, there has been 15 ED actions against media, 9 income tax actions against media, and 20 NIA actions against media. Since 2018 to 2023, I'm sure 2023 to 2026, the figures would have gone up considerably. Am I saying that investigation is wrong? I'm not saying investigation is wrong. Of course, you should be investigated. But somewhere down the line, see the pattern. A channel questions the government, raid happens, channel is completely obliterated, it stops asking questions because the channel shuts down. The channel shuts down. Or in some cases, the channel is bought over by somebody else. Is this fair? A political party, an opposition political party, a regional political party fights an election, loses badly, next day that political party obliterated. Most of the people joins the ruling political dispensation. Are these fair in a democracy? That's the question I wanted to ask my viewers. Whichever, like I always say, whichever political spectrum you believe in, whichever spectrum you come from, please ask yourself this question. If every channel that questions the government, if they are raided and then after 6 years, after they are completely obliterated, told that kuch nahi, okay, nothing happened, there's no evidence, theek hai, now we go home. Who loses? Who loses? You lose. And end of the day, the action has been successful by whoever initiated it. The action has been successful because the channel shut down either ways. Whether they are guilty or not guilty, channel shut down. Now they will not ask questions. There will be no questions. Finally, there will be no channel that will ask questions. You'll only have channels that will be discussing apples and mangoes. You see, I told you that this was a very emotional topic for us. You know why? Because in this raid list, we also exist. We were also raided. Before 2020, in 2020, we never made money. We were a small channel. We are a small channel. We never made money. But we were a very organized channel. We had planned our resources. We had planned our resources for our growth. We had planned our resources for our people. We have planned our resources to expand. We wanted to have branch offices. We wanted to have bureaus. We wanted to have offices across country. We wanted to have national footprint. We had planned all that. Everything was destroyed. Everything was destroyed. September 16th, 2020. The day we were raided. Because end of the day, we may come out of it, all of that. We did most of it. But the fact remains that what is gone is gone. The kind of money that has to be spent has been spent. The kind of money that has to be given as deposits or given as earnest money and all of that has been given. The kind of money one has to spend in legal fees has been done. We are a small company. Most of the digital organizations are small. We don't have huge legal budgets and all that. We don't have huge legal budgets and all that. A lot of people send us notes saying that, "Arey, you are not fighting, you are not talking, you are afraid of the government." All that they say, but nobody bothers to send you a check to say that, "Listen, you know what? If you've been raided, here's my help." That nobody does. Few did. A lot of them did. I tell you that also. I'm sorry, I take back my words. A lot of people did. But that's not how the audience in at large react. We face the blunt. We know what happened after 2020. We know how our dreams were shattered. How we had to let go of our people. People who were part and parcel and still are part and parcel of HW News Network. We are a small channel, but we were a family. Believe me, we were a very tight-knit family. And if today our employees are watching us, our ex-employees are watching us, a lot of them will write down in the comment box, and I'm sure they will. We were a very tight family. We had to let go of people. Not because we wanted it, because we didn't have a choice. You know that zeal to stand by our constitution, to question anybody who goes against the constitution, that zeal turned into fright. We were also apprehensive. We were also scared. We are scared. Let me be honest with you. Beyond the point, we will also not now question anybody. Because we have a family to run. We have more than one family to run. We have to pay salaries, we have to pay rent, we have to pay rates, and we have to pay taxes. That's also a reality. So that's why I said, it is also an emotional journey for us. And when we heard this news, all of that just surfaced. Lastly, when Prabir was being raided, when Praveen was being arrested, there were a lot of media channels, lot of journalists who constantly kept on saying, "Yeah, dekho, there is Chinese influence, there is that Chinese man is going to come, Chinese propaganda has been done on his channel, Chinese influence, Chinese money, anti-national, terrorist." The amount of adjectives used, astonishing. A lot of them, let me tell you, even knew Prabir personally. And yet, when they faced the camera, they were singing a completely different tone. For whatever reason. To please whoever, I don't know who, but you see, I say this because we face the same. We face the same. When our reporters were arrested in Tripura, we saw a lot of channels We were surprised because some of those people from those channels had spoken to us. They knew what exactly happened. So the fact remains that it's actually a learning curve. Because when you get raided or when you are into this kind of scrutiny, believe me, nobody stands with you. You face it alone. You face it alone. Prabir faced it. He came out of it. He came out of it victorious as of now. Tomorrow they are going to Supreme Court. I'm sure if the truth is in his side, he will come victorious again. I'm happy for Prabir. And I wish him all the luck. And this is not to make any statements, but I think all of us, for a minute need to think, internalize this information and introspect. Finally, by subjugating somebody, alleging somebody without any shred of evidence, are we being nationalist or are we harming our own interest? Are we harming our own interest? Harming our own interest by shutting down media, by shutting down opposition political parties? Are we coming out victorious or are we harming our own interest? Think about this. Please think about this. Let me know in your comment box below, and we will see you on Monday at 10. Namaskar.